Hi folks, it's Andy. Welcome to this week's Kendo Rant. We've got some fantastic questions for you today. We're going to jump to them in just a minute, but first, there's a couple of really important messages that you really have to hear. First and foremost, like, share, subscribe, enable notifications and leave a comment down below, okay? All of those things are super important because they're going to help us grow the Kendo population. We've already grown the Kendo population by 256 billion people since last week. We're going to double that this week, okay? You have to like, share, subscribe, enable notifications and leave a comment using the word Kendo, okay? And then YouTube knows to set out a crack team of robot ninjas to find people who are about to start Kendo and make sure that they do. All right, that's why you have to use the word Kendo in your comment that you're going to leave down below. Go and do it right now. What a great Kendo video. This is the best Kendo channel ever. That sort of thing. And then they'll know to get people to start Kendo, all right? If you don't do that, they might go and get people to start, I don't know, like darts or squash or snooker or something like that. Nothing wrong with those sports, but we want them to start Kendo, okay? So make sure you put that comment down below. Now, even more importantly than that, if you like this video, if you like the videos that I put out, whether it is these Q&A videos via Kendo Rant, whether it's the feedback videos that we do, whether it's the instructional videos, got more of those on the way, or the analysis videos that I do as well. If you like these things, they all come to you free of charge. There's no monthly membership. You don't have to, join another website. You don't have to pay for subtitles. It's all free, okay? All you have to do to support it and keep it coming, and here's the best bit, it's a win-win, is shop at KendoStar.com. KendoStar is the best Kendo equipment website in the history, future, and everything else of the human race. It's the best in the galaxy, universe, multiverse, everyverse, everything, everywhere, all at once, okay? KendoStar is the best. Now, of course, I would say that because I own the place, but everyone agrees with me. You're going to shop with us in the end, all right? So don't buy twice. Come to KendoStar first time round, all right? You will not regret it, all right? We give the best service, the best equipment. We're an established brand, especially for the international community. We're not sat in our basement or living room, drop shipping from the other side of the world. We're an established brand with a full team of staff ready to serve you. All right, that's KendoStar.com. Okay, so let's get into these questions. You may have noticed that the setup is slightly different today. I am experimenting. I'm trying something slightly new, different setup with the device that I'm using to record my face. I'm using my AirPods instead of a normal microphone. We'll see how it turns out, all right? If it turns out well, great. If it's not so great, I apologize in advance, and we'll go back to the normal system next week. All right, so let's get to these questions. All right, so first one says, hi Sensei, thank you once again for another awesome Kendo video. My question this week is more of a philosophical one. What are your thoughts on the concept of enlightenment in Kendo and martial arts as a whole? My understanding of enlightenment is that it is a state of mind of which one is able to clear their mind of all things worldly and is able to understand the true nature of all things. I.e., the next waza their opponent will perform well in advance of them actually performing the waza. This brought me back to the concept of seme. Knowing that it isn't something that you can consciously do in a fight against an opponent, but rather comes from experience practicing it. Is this why higher grade sensei, specifically 8th dan sensei, seem to possess a certain aura about them, for lack of a better term, when one should keiko against them? That's an interesting question. It's very deep. Can you attain enlightenment through Kendo? I don't know. I haven't attained it yet. Let's put it that way. I think there's an element of it. Where you find a certain meaning. I think there's things where you do find a sort of state of mind. You sort of tune yourself into a state of mind that you probably don't in your everyday life, which I think is super, super interesting. Whether I call that enlightenment or not, I don't know. In terms of like understanding the opponent's next waza well advanced to them actually performing it, I'm not entirely sure that's like an enlightenment thing. I think that's one, experience and repetition. I think it's pattern recognition. You know, if you do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of keiko, you kind of get to recognize patterns of what is likely to be the next movement of an opponent, more than like some kind of special enlightenment. But it is undeniable that there are sort of high grade Hachidan senseis that do seem to have a sort of aura about them. But I'm also unsure if that's something that like we attribute to them rather than something that resonates from them. You know, it's like, oh, that's a Hachidan sensei, like sort of, it's a Jedi sort of thing. And whether it's coming more from our side than from their side, I don't know. I guess I won't know that until I get the 8th dan. So ask me in so many years. Confident. Okay. I like the question though, so I can't give a concrete answer, but I don't think there is a concrete answer to that. Love these videos, Sensei. I feel like Tenuguis are a little outdated. If the purpose of the Tenugui is to absorb sweat and keep your hair away from your face, I feel like a skull cap can be more effective and avoid the whole process of having to wrap a Tenugui around your head. Have you seen any products that serve as an alternative to Tenugui? Even if there was one, do you think the Kendo community would still continue to use Tenuguis for tradition's sake? If it's for tradition's sake, I figure maybe the community will come around, just like how communities come around to wearing synthetic Kendogi hakama. One of the reasons we use Tenugui is for the purpose of tradition, because Tenugui are part of Japanese culture, not just in Kendo. They're used in lots of elements of traditional Japanese culture, and they're an everyday household item. They're convenient, they're cheap, they're easy to use. There's no issue with the Tenugui, so I don't see there being a reason to fix one. It's a bit different to what you're saying about the synthetic Kendogi hakama, which I'll get to in a minute. But like there's the difficulty that surrounds the Tenugui is that beginners have to learn how to put it on their head. But it's not that hard once you get used to it. So it doesn't have like a long-term, like consistent problem. So I don't see a place where Tenugui are replaced with like an elastic skull cap. I think there is such a product for like schools, like for like school in Japan, like where they have to do Kendo in PE class, like physical education class, where you know, the kids don't have Kendo experience. Maybe the teachers don't have Kendo experience either. So you know, they're not going to carry on doing Kendo. So they have. I've seen that sort of thing, I think, but for actual Kendo practitioners, I don't see them being developed or accepted, and I don't think they should be. I think the Tenugui is an important part of the Japanese Kendo culture. Tenugui also have their own meanings. Lots of them carry important wording or slogans, things that are they're there for you, by the way, not for the people looking at your head. So they serve to remind you of certain concepts, which I think is nice. And they're perfectly fine. As I say, you say like the community might come around, like they come around to wearing synthetic Kendogi hakama. So first off, the first thing I'd say about that is, yeah, recently there's synthetic Kendogi hakama. There's lots of people that don't like synthetic Kendogi hakama. Lots of people that don't like it, and because they don't feel traditional, which is fair enough, right? But secondly, it's still a Kendogi hakama. It's not like people are saying, "Oh, hakama are too difficult to tie. Let's wear tracksuit bottoms." You know what I'm saying? Which is more of an equivalent to swapping a Tenugui to a skull cap. I have seen Tenugui made of different materials, like more model materials, but they've always never been very good. And generally just the straight cotton ones tend to be better. The traditional ones tend to be better in the end anyway. So I think equating the idea of like swapping a Tenugui to some kind of skull cap isn't the same as equating like going from cotton Kendogi and hakama to synthetic ones. And synthetic hakama have been around a long time, by the way, a long time. And Kendogi have been around probably, 15 years, maybe more? Synthetic ones. But I think it's more it's more the same, you know, I don't think it equates to that. I think it equates to swapping hakama and kendogi for a sports top like this and tracksuit bottoms. And the thing about the reason that synthetic kendogi and hakama were able to gain popularity is because there is a consistent issue with a cotton kendogi and hakama. Like a traditional aizome kendogi and hakama, it fades, it's difficult to wash, it's heavy, and it's hot, okay? And in Japan especially, where the summer can get up to 40 degrees, and heat stroke is the biggest killer of people in kendo at all, right? People die from heat stroke in kendo more than anything else. Then there is a need in the market that's kind of a problem in the market that exists that could be solved by a synthetic kendogi and hakama, and that's why that product came out. All right. I don't think the problem of the difficulty to tie a tenugui is big enough for it to warrant a new product, and I don't think it will be accepted from that point of view. From the point of view of a kendoga, like a kendo equipment professional, as much as a point of view as a kendoka, yeah, I don't think it will be a successful product. So yeah, I don't see it taken off at all. It's not that hard to learn to tie the tenugui. I know it's hard in the beginning, all right? But with practice, it will come. It will come, okay? It will come. In worst case, you can fold it into a little hat. That's what I do. That's what I do, okay? Don't tell anyone, but that's what I do, right? People judge me for it all the time. People judge people wearing a hat. You shouldn't judge. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. It's up to you. But I don't have a thing. I don't have a problem with the little hat thing. I wear it that way. I like to wear it that way. I can wear it the other way. I like to wear it the little hat way. Okay, I like to do that, so I do that. Okay, what's a lesson you gained from Kendo that has positively influenced your life outside of Kendo training and the Kendo community? This is quite difficult. My life outside of the Kendo training and the community is very small. It's like my family, and that's about it. It's not, but I think that in the main thing that I've learned from Kendo that I think carries through to life is that hard work and perseverance and belief in yourself and a positive attitude can take you a long way. Okay, can take you a long way, and it is possible to fly in this face of expectation and to I'm gonna say it's possible to achieve things if you put your mind to it and work as hard as you can. Hello Sensei, can you how someone fights based, I think that means can you tell how someone fights based on how their shinais break? For example, if the left stave keeps breaking, perhaps you prefer men strike, whilst if you keep on breaking the right stave, you have a tendency striking kote, or at least attacking from the ura. I don't think that's necessarily it. I think the way a shinai breaks can give insight into people's kendo technique and ability. But I don't think it's like if it breaks on the left side, it means you hit men more. I don't think that's a thing so much. I think what I tend to find is where the break is and how it breaks tends to be the thing I find. There's two main kinds of breaks that I see. One where it sort of breaks like on the inside. The ones that are a little bit harder to detect are the ones where it sort of is there one on this one? I don't know. This one needs obviously there's this kind of thing. There's this kind of thing. I don't know if you can see it. There's this kind of thing. It's not going to show up, is it? Because of the thing I've got on. There's this kind of thing which is just like general wear. So this needs shaving and sanding, and this will be okay. I don't think there's an actual break in this otherwise. Just needs a bit of TLC, this one, doesn't it? This is not mine, this is I believe this belongs to my wife. But the type of break where it kind of breaks on the inside across the stave like that, there's that type, and then there's the type where it like splits this way and like the whole thing like breaks off like that. There's both types of breaks. I tend to find that the second one, where the top part, that tends to get broken from do, especially gyakudo, but not always. The other ones tend to get broken from like men and kote, but it depends. I've got to say, like, I've done a video about this a long time ago. If you find yourself breaking Shinai a lot, it's often a technique issue, and it's to do with the Tenugui, all right, using the left hand properly. I went through a phase probably when I was about 3rd dan, I think, of breaking a lot of Shinai. I think that's a phase a lot of people do, like 3rd dan, 4th dan level, break a lot of Shinai. Shinai didn't last very long. Sometimes just a couple of weeks, sometimes just a month or two. But I kind of started to understand Tenugui a bit better, and how to properly transfer power to the Shinai. Yeah, I mean, these days, and for years now, actually, probably the last 8 or 9 years, maybe 10 years, I don't break Shinai so often. So I guess I break Shinai maybe once every 6 months. I guess, you know, and I rotate them. I do rotate them, but I do practice quite a lot. But I broke one 2 weeks ago. For the first, like, that's the first one I've broken. I think I've broken 2 this year so far, and that was the second one. And actually, that one was it was like an old one I'd not used for a while. So, you know, I don't know if that's part of it or whatever. But I think if you find yourself breaking a lot of Shinai, then it means you need to work on your Tenugui a bit, is what I would say. Okay. Okay, next one. Hello Sensei, thank you for the Kendo videos. Hear that, YouTube ninjas? I'm fairly beginner, but about a year of practice. Last 3 months in Boga. Okay. When practicing with recent new beginners, I often receive painful kote strikes. My kote is really protective, not an issue at least, but they often tend to aim for the wrist, tsutsu area, yeah, and not the forearm and futon. This is 1T in futon. That's my little correction for you. With great force. Aside from trying to explain to them how and where to properly hit, do you have any advice on how to receive properly in a way that protects the wrists best? I sometimes feel my forearm is too parallel in front of my body, leaving all of my forearm and wrist exposed, way too big opening, and could explain I receive even more painful strikes. I want to make sure from my side at least I do everything I do to protect my wrist whilst obviously still receiving properly is a good motodachi. Thank you. It's really difficult, isn't it? It's really difficult. There's lots of different ways people say you should receive the kote, all right? Some say that you should just lift the tip like that. Some say you should just move to the side that way. I like my way to receive the kote is slightly this way, like this. So it's very easy. The kote strike is very easy to reach if you swing the Shinai straight, okay, like this. That's how I like to receive it. But it's difficult in your situation, right? Because you're not the teacher. It's not the teacher. I think you're just gonna have to try to adjust the way you receive a little bit. See what you can experiment with to find a way that makes it less likely for them to bash you on the wrist. If people out there are listening who are teachers, I think it's really important, especially to your beginners, I think you should stress that they do not need to hit, especially the kote, with a lot of power, okay? They do not need to hit the kote with a lot of power. The kote waza does not need to be hit really hard, all right? Most of the power from the kote strike, it's the same with other strikes, but particularly in the kote strikes, you see the very, very strong Japanese policemen, they hit kote and it goes like this really loud noise. It sounds like they've really smashed the kote, and they have hit it very hard. I've been on the receiving ends of those strikes, and they hit very powerfully. The strike has a lot of power, but it's not them bashing with their arms. The power comes from a really good unified fumikomi, okay, from a good fumikomi, in that they transfer their body weight to the tip of their shinai by using their fumikomi properly. Of course, beginners aren't able to do that, all right? And then they see that, or they see their sensei doing it, and they think they just have to bash it hard. But I think it's really important, you have to stress to them that they don't need to hit it hard, they need to hit it accurately. And the power will come as they develop their technique. And they shouldn't overcompensate for their lack of technique with brute strength, which is what beginners tend to do. I think it's really important, and we've got a bit of a responsibility as the teachers to try and do that, all right? So I'd really like more teachers to do that. Be a little bit stricter on that. And when you see them bashing too hard, you have to stop them. Hey, that's too hard. You need to hit lighter, all right? Of course, they can't just touch like this, but it just needs to, for now, till they're accurate. Hello, Fish Sensei. About a week and a half ago, I took a near horizontal sayumen hard to the ear, which made it ring for about a minute. Now, all's fine and good, but it got me thinking about the possibility of permanent ear damage in Kendo. As I recall, a sensei told me to stop ducking my head to the sides because it could cause ear damage if people hit me there. I realise you're no medical professional, correct? But is it common for Kendoka to experience this sort of permanent ear damage? A less medical question, I did Kendo with someone who told me one of my biggest hurdles at the moment is that I don't relax after striking. And I wasn't exactly sure what he meant by that. What do you think? Thank you. So, I think permanent ear damage is reasonably rare in Kendo. I don't know many people that have it. It probably affects hearing over time, like the quality of your hearing over time. My hearing's not great in the first place. It hasn't been, to be honest, I've never had good hearing. I have heard of cases people getting burst eardrums and stuff from a dodgy strike where it's hit them straight here, where someone's either hit like that or they've ducked their head to the side like that. So, of course it's, I'm not someone that says you should never dodge the strike. You shouldn't get hit in the cake or the shiai, all right? So, of course, sometimes you have to move your head out of the way. But if you move it directly on the side like that, then they're likely to hit you straight on the ear, aren't they? So you need to be mindful and smart about the way that you defend yourself, okay? I don't think it's common. But it is certainly a possibility that your eardrums could get injured from a dodgy strike, right? So you do have to be careful, both on the hitting side and on the receiving side. In terms of not relaxing after striking, I think one thing that lots of people tend to do is after they make a hit, they kind of stiffen up and they want to put all this effort into like selling or doing the zanshin. And it goes all tense and like, man, like this, and they'll kind of jump up and down and man, like this. We've seen it a little bit in some of the feedback videos. Or like if they do kote, like this sort of thing, where it needs to be more relaxed, smooth, fluid, still concentrating, yeah, man, this sort of way rather than this sort of thing, which I think is possibly what you could be referred to. Can't say without seeing it, but that's something that I see often, okay? Hi, Fish Sensei, I hope you're doing well. I've recently been experiencing wrist pain in my left wrist from doing suburi, mainly karate suburi. It's this sort of, that's suburi. Yeah, I'd be pretty good at it. I'm kidding. I don't know anything about it. Seen a few movies. Okay. My wife was here, she'd be like, she'd be following the funniest face. Anyway, my kid's even better. Right, okay, so it's katate suburi, okay? I'm sure that was an autocorrect, alright? They changed that to karate. Anyway, mainly karate suburi. I say now, chop is karate chop suburi. Chop, So you gotta do. I'm aware that it was possible. It was possibly too early to start. I've only been in Kendo for 2 months. Okay. I'm very eager to improve and build strength and get nice looking cuts. Okay. My question is, do you do anything to manage wrist pain or any recommendations on slowly building up wrist strength to eventually do kote exercises? Thank you in advance. My Hakuman gi arrives soon. I'm beyond excited. Fantastic. Thank you very much. So yeah, look, I think it's largely about wrist strengthening. And I think a simple and easy exercise you can do is you can get a weight, get hold of a weight, put your like arm on somewhere, like you can sit down, put your elbow and forearm on top of your knee and just do wrist curls like this. Okay, like this. Just curl your wrist like this with a weight. It doesn't have to be heavy. Okay, it doesn't have to be heavy. You can do it with a bottle of water, even like a bottle of water, and then increase the weight as you as you get stronger. All right, and what that will do is that will increase the strength in your not only your wrist but in your forearms as well. All right, in your forearms as well. You won't get as hairy as I am, but you'll you'll develop these muscles, okay, in these areas, all right, which is super important for Kendo. Okay, and that might make doing kote useful, easier as well. But don't just do one side, do both sides. All right, you need to make sure that you're nice and balanced. Okay, give it a try. If it starts to hurt, stop, though. All right? And give yourself some sort of tendonitis, okay? Hi, Fish Sensei, this is the last one. I hope all is well. Quick question, could you compare durability and other factors, workability, looks, etc., between different types of materials used in door mune? Okay, thanks. Okay, no problem. There's 3 main types of materials used in door mune. One is the kurozan. This is the traditional type of door mune. It's the black sort of shiny leather. Traditionally, this was cowhide that was then hand lacquered with urushi, and that's called temomi kurozan. It's extremely expensive, very, very rare material these days. You hardly ever see it. It's actually quite hard to get hold of, if you can even do it, and if you do, it can be super expensive. 90% or more of the kurozan domunes you see these days is what's called katoshi kurozan, which is where they take like a treated cow leather, black cow leather, and they press it into a mold that gives it that sort of little bumpy look, that makes it look like that sort of hand finished urushi of the traditional kurozan mune. Okay, that's probably the most durable type of mune, is the kurozan type. All right, so it's nice, decent cow leather. It doesn't fade so much, doesn't scratch easy. And it's your sort of standard, most traditional looking mune. Then your other options is like a deer skin or an aizome leather mune. There's versions in deer skin or cow skin, actually, in cow leather, sorry, where it's aizome dyed. This has a smooth finish. It's like a matte finish if you look at it from far away, and it's of course dark navy in color, so it matches the color of your kendogi and the rest of your boga. It's got a nice kind of subdued look. It looks super nice, but it's not quite as durable as the kurozan option. It scratches quite easily, it scuffs quite easily, I should say, rather than scratches, and of course it's going to fade because it is aizome dyed. Okay, so it's going to fade. And then the other option you've got is a synthetic leather mune, which is like a synthetic version of that. It looks very similar, but it's not going to fade. Okay, and it's not quite as durable either. Okay, it's probably the least durable option, but you know, the door mune is not an aspect of the boga that receives a massive amount of wear and tear. All right, so I have all different types of door mune. I don't currently have a oh yeah, I do. I have all types. I have a deer skin one. I have lots of kurozan ones. I have lots of clarino, not lots. I have a couple of clarino ones too, and they're perfectly fine durability wise. But again, they don't fade, and to a trained eye, you can tell that they look synthetic. All right, you can tell that they look synthetic if you put them next to a genuine one. All right. I know there's a couple of other options out there in the market. I've seen orizashi ones, other cotton covered ones. I don't think they're nearly as durable as the leather ones, I have to say, but I haven't really used them to a great extent, so I wouldn't really know. I think those 3 that I've mentioned are the main 3 that we offer in KendoStar. I think they're the ones that are the sort of most appropriate. I do. Obviously, if you just want something that's timeless, it's going to serve you well, durable, look great, then you just go with the standard Kuros-on, all right? But if you want that sort of deerskin look, then you go for the one of the Izumi ones or the synthetic version as well, all right? And they're both great options. It just depends. The main thing to choose is what you like the look of. I would say you choose it based on what you like the look of, rather than any other factors. And there we go. We're at the end of the show. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope the setup worked all right. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, shop at KendoStar, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.